It won't let me zoom on the front, so I'm gonna just bring this in a little bit. Okay, it's my beautiful model, Stella. And normally I have my models do their base, but Stella actually doesn't like to wear base because, as we can see, she has these gorgeous freckles. And I firmly believe in celebrating the things that you find beautiful about yourself. So what we're gonna do for her base, I'm gonna show you things that I like to do if you don't want a base. So you wanna prep the skin first, and this isn't one of my products, but this is one you can get on Amazon. I'll put it up here. So it says D Alba, I know it's backwards. So D apostrophe Alba, and it's their first serum spray. And this is a skincare spray, but this is also great if you need to refresh your makeup throughout the day. So again, go ahead and close your eyes. And it just soaks right into the skin. So if you have any powder products on, or you feel like you're looking powdery, this is like a good little pick-me-up to have in your back pocket. And I'll set that out here, so if you want to write that down, you can. And it smells really nice too. So we'll put that on, and then we'll put a bit of makeup primer on as well. And I like to use the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. It tends to just really grab color really nice and keep a really nice, smooth, even base. So I typically like to start with eyes before I do my base, but because Stella doesn't have a base on, this is perfect, and we'll just keep her skin nice and comfortable and beautiful, so that when we put blush on, it doesn't just kind of waste away because there's nothing underneath it. This will keep it on her skin. So that's the point of primer. We want to make sure that our makeup lasts. Yes?
So last year, several of us went on an acne.
Yeah?
Flakes off.
You feel like the primer flakes off on you?
Yeah,
So, okay, I've not had an issue on brides, like I've used it on brides, not just myself, but on other clients. And sometimes though, that being said, so don't feel like you did something wrong. Sometimes our skincare, our pH, our oil level, if you run particularly oily, you might not want to use a primer that says hydro in it. I don't find this one to be particularly oily. However, if you found that it was flaking and causing any oily spots, then maybe you might want to find a primer that's not a hydrating primer, if that makes sense. That might kind of help you with that issue. I'm sorry that you had that issue, but this one, it's been a favorite of mine. It's not my brand, but it's been a favorite of mine for a long time.
Can you show us the name of that primer again?
Yes, Milk. So Milk, and it's Hydro Grip. Okay, so you want to allow any kind of primer to sink into the skin. Like I said, I like to start with eyes. So I'm going to start by using an eye primer. Now, eye primer and face primer are different. Does anyone happen to know the difference of like why they would be a little bit different? So has anyone ever seen those videos? Go ahead and close your eyes. Online, keep them closed for a minute. Where people put makeup primer on an orange, because oranges have a lot of pores, right? And then you can see that the face makeup glides more evenly over the top of the orange than without face primer. So face primer is designed to kind of create a smooth surface. Eye primer is designed to grip color. So a cool thing that you can do with eye primer, aside from making sure that your eyeshadow is going to last all day, is if you have a blemish that you're struggling to get that sun covered, actually put a little bit of eye primer on it, let it set, and then it's going to grab the color of your concealer even more, so it'll help conceal. And that's a trick of the trade from makeup artists. We will use eye primer on blemishes too. So this one that I'm using is Milani. You can actually get this at the drugstore. So that one actually, in my opinion, this works just as good as the Urban Decay one, but like a fraction of the price. Okay, so when you put on primer, you want to let it set for just a minute, because if you go in too soon, has anyone ever put on primer and gone in immediately with eyeshadow? Has anyone ever done that? What happens? It's like patchy, right? You're like, I can't, what? Because it's not dry, so it's tacky in some spots, and then it's still moving in others. So you want to allow it, I would say, at least a minute to just set. And if you're ever unsure if it's set, you can come over and test it and just kind of feel If it's still super creamy in some spots, just wait. You don't want patchy eyeshadow. It's not a fun look on anybody. But this is the part of makeup that just takes patience. So primers, you want them to sit because they can't do their job. If you think of a makeup or a paint primer on a wall, you have to let that dry, right, before you put the paint over the top. Same with any kind of makeup primer. So now we're gonna go in. This is one of my favorite palettes. I typically like to teach with this one because there is so much that you can learn from this palette. So this is from my line BAQE. And when I designed this palette, I put the mattes on one side and the metallics and shimmers on the other so that you actually know what you're doing as far as what the colors are gonna do. And then the mattes you can use for other things, and I'll show you that as well. Yes. For sensitive eyes, as long as you're not allergic to specific dyes, but usually if you're allergic to a specific dye, you would know. As far as sensitive eyes, I have really sensitive skin. I'm a perioral dermatitis sufferer. I have really sensitive eyes, and I have had 0 issues. I haven't had any complaints from clients as far as sensitivity, but if you know personally what you're allergic to, the ingredients are listed right on the back for you. So we're gonna go in first, kind of on this side. We're gonna do kind of the everyday look over here, and then we'll glam it up on the other side, just so you can see, okay? So for an everyday look, there's a few ways that you can break this down, but we're gonna grab this color right here, Latte. It's just a really nice light tan, and we're gonna bring this right into this crease area, but notice how I'm holding my brush. So you want a light hand, and if you find that if you're down here like a pencil, back it up, okay? Back that thing up. It's not, you don't want to hold it too rough because then the brush actually isn't doing the work and you're just pushing the product. If you back up even just a little bit, you have a less grip on there, so you're not pressing as hard. So as you can see, this is nice and subtle, and it's a color that is a natural warm color. There we go. It's a natural warm color in her skin already. So you can see the slight difference between nothing and this, but it's not crazy, right? So if you're like not a makeup girly, that was super easy. And then you can take a little bit of Allure, which is this kind of metallic champagne, and just tap it on with your finger. Okay? And then take your brush and blend that back over the top. And you can adjust these colors based on your skin tone. Stella is so fair that I wouldn't want to go any darker, but on a medium range skin tone, you could start dipping in a little bit of cappuccino depending on what's happening naturally on your face. So if your skin is darker, you're going to want to pick a bit of a darker shade. And again, depending on the depth of your skin, any of these are going to be neutrals. So you can start with a darker neutral if your skin is darker. And then you can dip into a more warm gold or a deeper brown metallic, depending again on your skin tone. So don't be afraid if you try this and you're like, this isn't matching my skin tone. I want you to look at the colors that you're seeing naturally first, because this might look a little bit more glammed up if it's much fairer than your skin. But I would say anywhere fair to like light medium to medium can probably pull this off as just quick, easy, simple, okay? Now what you can do, but you don't have to do, but I love to do, is a little bit in the center part of your tear duct on your eye. And this kind of just opens the eye a little bit. So I love to use this shade Opulent. And it's a little bit of a metallic color. And we're just gonna press and swipe a little right around on the tear duct area. And then a little right under her eyebrow right here where we want to just add a little bit of lift. So go ahead and open your eyes. So this just adds a bit of brightness here. And what that does is kind of give you that open doe eye. So anytime you put a brighter color there, it's gonna give the appearance of like youthful glow right there. Does that make sense? So when we think of big open eyes, Who's ever seen a drag queen before? Yeah? Who's ever seen them in person, like up close? Have you ever seen drag makeup up close? They have thick white liner, right? And why? Does anybody know why? It makes your eyes look bigger from the stage, right? So this is a subtle way to do something like that, to give your eyes a bit of brightness and openness without feeling over the top. So when you look at this, it's not a lot. It doesn't take a lot of products, but she could stop there or add eyeliner or whatever she wants to do. But since Stella has informed me that she actually doesn't even wear a whole lot of makeup, this is like very different for her. So we're gonna stop there for eyeshadow on this eye and just add a bit of mascara. So I'm actually gonna have Stella apply her mascara because I find that when you apply it, when makeup artists apply it, it's a little bit different, but I'm gonna direct you. So you're gonna hold it here and long, slow blinks. Yeah, long, slow blinks. And then you're gonna come on the back side of the eyelash. Like, yep, and run it through a couple times there. And then come back to the front. So the reason why I have people apply mascara like this is if you think about putting weight just solely on one side of something, throughout the day what's gonna happen? It's gonna fall. Has anyone ever noticed that there are mascara falls throughout the day? Okay, so if you anchor it by adding weight on the back side too, it doesn't fall. It actually stays curled much longer and it just helps them last. So look at how open, I'm gonna have you lean into the camera. Look at how open and beautiful and subtle that eye look is. Again, makeup doesn't have to be hard, and look at how stunning that is. And that's something that a makeup artist would even do on you for an everyday look. But it's very simple. You can totally do this yourself. Yes. So this is our mascara, and it's on sale here at Pinners. Not available on the website right now. Pinners only for $10 right now. Yeah, I know. Highway robbery is happening at the BAQE booth, guys. We, like, serious sales. You're gonna wanna come over there, and it's gonna be a blast. So what I would do, she naturally has a gorgeous flush to her face, but you can still play with that a little bit. I should have brought my water in here. Okay, so we're gonna use our glow palette in the shade Glowing 2.0. We have several shades of these. This one comes with a bronzer, a blush, and 2 highlighters. This would be our most universal palette, but also, of course, you guys, right when we're in the middle, it keeps, okay. Okay, well, you know what? I'm recording this. I will post this entire class on the Instagram. Is that okay? So it'll just be mostly Stella's face, and then I'll peek in here every now and then. But I'll post this on the Instagram, so definitely follow on Instagram. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties today. Okay, we're gonna use the Glow palette. We're gonna grab a little bit of bronzer. Has anyone ever seen someone call this contour? Currently in the beauty industry, we're having an issue kind of separating the two, and I'll go over both. But we're gonna bronze, but we're gonna do it in a cheater contour bronze. It's gonna sound weird, I promise you it works. So when we break down the shape of the face, we usually say the number 3 or the letter E, but I don't want you to just think that, because then it would put it like right here under her eye. I want you to adjust those lines to the lines on your face. So the top curve of the 3 is gonna be your hairline, but what you're gonna see, Stella actually has beautiful swooping right here in her hairline, so she doesn't need a ton of bronzer right here. We don't need to minimize that area. So we're gonna add more kind of in here, and it's just subtle, because this is kind of the everyday side, right? Just a little bit of subtle warmth in here where the sun would actually hit her face and give her a tan. And then we're going to take and come, the middle curve of the 3 can be kind of tricky for some people. So if you take a straight brush and go from the top of your ear to the corner of your mouth, that's how you find the hollow of your cheek. Or if you just want to press around your face and you can feel your cheekbone, and then underneath your cheekbone is the hollow. So we don't want to go completely in the hollow, we want to kind of pass right by it. and add just a little bit of bronze. And this is gonna just add a little bit of warmth, so go ahead and turn your head. Just a subtle warmth. And when we apply it, we're gonna apply it back here and bring it forward. So if we were to stamp it here and blend it backward, where would the most concentration of our product be? Yeah, it would be here, right? Is that where we want it? No, so make sure when you stamp your product that you have the most concentration where you're blending it from, not blending it to. Is that a helpful tip for you guys? Because I find that that's where you're gonna get kind of that patch right there where you're like, oh, that someone played in dirt today, right? So this is kind of the middle curve of our 3, and then we're gonna come around the base. We're gonna make sure we blend a little onto the ear. The ear can be a telltale sign if you haven't blended your makeup onto your ear. If you get red throughout the day, like if you get hot, your ears will give you away every time. Or if you I wear a lot of hats in the summer and I wear a lot of sunscreen. So my face is actually like 4 shades paler than the rest of my body. So my foundation is much darker than my actual face skin because it has to match the rest of me. And if I don't put it on my ears, it's actually comical. So reminder, don't let your ears give you away. And then we bring it down here, and then I like to blend a little down the neck too. Again, we just don't want a huge line of demarcation where we had makeup, and this is the same with foundation. But bronzer can help you even out if you maybe have some spots on your face that are a little fairer than others. So that's just a subtle bronze, but you can see again that difference. It's very subtle. We'll take a different brush, a bit of a fluffier brush, and even though she has a bit of blush, I'm gonna add just a subtle, mixing the blush with a highlighter. Kind of back and forth. And then this, we're just gonna apply, and good. Keep a resting B face, because who was taught to smile when they do their blush? We're gonna nix that. I'm gonna show you why. So, Stella, what happens when you smile? This skin is now up here, right? So this skin moves up here, so then when you rest your face, it comes down. So if you smile, and you apply your blush all around here, now drop your smile, it's literally all the way down here, okay? So we wanna keep it nice and high. I like to think of not going below your nostril, and just kind of keeping it right up here and wrapping it around for a really natural lifted face. And like I said, when we blend it with that highlighter, so as she moves, it's gonna look really hydrated and glowy and more natural than if we apply highlighter on top of that. So that's a trick if you want the glow of a highlighter, but you don't wanna look overdone, just mix a little bit into your blush. Another trick, if you find that, has anyone ever gone in with blush and you feel like you're in a 7th grade school play and there's way too much blush on your face? A trick that you can do is when you grab it, go on the back of your hand first. That can help you have less product on the brush and have it more diffused through the brush, or go in on the cheek moving. Those are techniques that we teach new makeup artists or people who are new to knowing how much product is on that brush. That's a really easy way to have less product, because you can always add more. You can't really take away. So the easiest thing that you can do is go in with a little bit blended, go in moving, all of that, okay? And that is how I would leave her on her natural side. She actually has really great brows. I wouldn't even touch them on this side. And then she could add a little bit of gloss, but we'll do a lip at the end that can go with both. But I'm gonna have you lean in a little bit. So look at this glow that we have. Look at this beautiful eye look that we have, and see this subtle difference. So this is a really natural look. Something that young girls could wear, or if you're into that no makeup look, or you're like, I need something quick. This is something quick and easy. You didn't have to dip into a ton of product, and it's something that's definitely achievable. Okay, so now we're gonna use the same products, but we're gonna step it up a bit, okay? So we already primed her eye, and now we're going to go in with this same eyeshadow palette. And we're actually gonna start with the same color, but I'm gonna show you how application and sometimes tools make a huge difference. So we're gonna go in with this shade Latte again, which is a matte tan. We're gonna start with this brush, but we're gonna be a little bit more concentrated when we first apply it. And we're gonna sweep it in. And it's already a bit more intense than on the other side, but we're gonna add a little bit more. So again, as you go in, you're gonna stamp it where you want the most concentration of color and sweep it in. And if you angle your brush down here with the bristles up, it's gonna blend it up. If you angle your brush this way with the bristles down, it's gonna press it down. Does that make sense? The product's gonna go wherever your bristles are pointed. So we're gonna start there. Then we're gonna grab an even more concentrated brush and grab that same color, and we're going to add even a bit more definition. So Stella, I want you to lean in. Do you see, we haven't used a different color yet, but it almost looks like we have. And that's because of how much we've concentrated in that area. So the brush that I'm using now to concentrate even more is a crease brush. They are really compact, they're not flat, they're still round, so you can still blend into your crease, but it's much less like splayed out versus a blending brush, okay? All right, you can go ahead and do that, honey. All right, so now we're gonna take a shading brush. So this again is still compacted. You'll notice it's a bit thinner on the side and wider. So we can blend a little bit, but still have really good placement. And now we are gonna dip into cappuccino a little. And we're gonna add a little bit more depth right out here, a little bit at a time. And what I love about shading brushes is that they're already rounded, so it kind of gives you a really easy shape to play with. But this shape on the outside, I like to think of as like a boomerang or a number 7, less than, greater than sign, whatever visual helps you there, because we're not really going straight out and we're not really going straight up. We are coming kind of on this angle. And the reason being that when we come up on this angle, it adds lift. Basically, I mean, okay, who's over the age of 30? Yes. Okay, so things have started happening, haven't they? Who had their just court appointment 2 weeks ago? Okay, but as a 36-year-old, things start being different around the eyes, right around 30. So lifting kind of helps with that, and makeup can play a big part in that. So as we apply this right here in that shape, it's kind of giving cat eye without having to put cat eye liner on. It's gonna give that upward shape pull. Yes?
How far out do you want the...
So I try not to go beyond like the edge of your own brow. This is it's gonna depend on how intense you want that look to be. The further out you go with that, the more intense it is. And that's a control thing, but what's great about doing eyes first is if you get a little carried away, you can fix it before you put your face on. Or if you're putting on shadows and you want to get smoky that day and put on a bit of darker shadow, and we will add a little bit more, you can make sure that you don't get fallout on your makeup. Because who's done that before? Where you get your face is perfect, and then you go to do your eyeshadow and you're like, oh no, I look like a raccoon. What has happened? Yeah, just do your eyes first. Honestly, no one wants to mess with putting a bunch of powder under their eye, especially over the age of 30. It's not your best friend. Like you see a lot of the influencers do, they'll put a huge layer of powder and then do their eyes and then they brush it all away. Don't do that. Don't fall for it. Don't do it. You're gonna later look like the Sahara Desert under your eyes. So just don't do it. So now we've added a little bit of cappuccino, and I'm gonna go in with the same brush, and I'm gonna grab, this has a little bit of red tone in it, which will play with her hair very well. It's called Cascara. And we're just gonna add a little bit of even more depth. And what I love is that you can really build and play and have fun with this. And again, I'm just gonna kind of do that boomerang shape, and then I'll take my blending brush from earlier without anything on it and blend it in. And why I put that lighter color down first is we call it your transition color, because if you have just a stark difference from one color to skin to eyebrow, it is a little stark. It does look a little like something's missing. So if you have that mid-tone shade that is appearing somewhere on your face naturally, or somewhere in your outfit naturally, depending on how you're doing your makeup that day, it's gonna give more of that blended gradient. Go ahead and lean in. So we have that dark color on there, but because it's blended throughout, it doesn't look so stark difference on her skin. Okay, go ahead and lean back. So we'll actually use the same color on her lid, but I'm gonna show you a different way to use it. If you apply it with your finger, super simple, you're gonna get a really good color payoff. But I love spraying a bit of my favorite setting spray onto the eyeshadow, and then it turns it into a cream eyeshadow. So you don't have to buy cream eyeshadows and powder eyeshadows and gel and all of those different things. You can make those with powder and a mixing medium. And setting spray is one of the best for that because you're already gonna use it later anyway. So I'm gonna put this, and you'll notice the strokes, I'm gonna have you lean in so we can see the strokes a little bit better, are kind of like a tap and light pull. We're not like swiping all the way across. This allows you to get a really nice concentration of color, and it almost looks wet now, right? So as she moves, do you see how it looks wet, like a cream shadow? Versus over here, when we apply it with just our finger very lightly, it's very light and subtle, but still has a bit of sparkle. So can you believe that those are the same eyeshadows, just applied differently, right? It's kind of nuts. So like I said, it doesn't have to be like you need 2 different eye palettes to do every day and going out. You should be able to do those same things, mostly the same colors. We only added 2 more colors over here. And then she can still put on her mascara, but I will do a little bit of eyeliner because who wants to see eyeliner? Yeah. So eyeliner you can also get from this palette. You don't have to go and buy eyeliner. In fact, I find that nowadays a lot of like the pencils, they break really easily. Another problem is if they don't break really easily, they're really creamy, they never dry. Who's had that problem? And then like smears, yeah. Liquid, I loathe a liquid pen eyeshadow. Who's ever gone to use it and it's like, you're like shaking it. You have to store them tip down or it's game over. But they start drying out the second that you open them just because of how they're made. They're a felt tip pen, and they're honestly, they're the worst. They break a lot, I hate them. So I won't go anywhere near them. So something that I started doing as a young makeup artist at the MAC counter was using eyeshadows as eyeliner, and I found that it works a million times better because who's ever used like a liquid eyeshadow and then it's like shiny, and then your makeup is not shiny and it looks strange, right? Have you ever seen that? Where it like almost looks like leather, like when it dries. I also hated that. I didn't like that it looked so separate. So I'm gonna lean in really quick. I have on this eyeshadow I'm about to show you as eyeliner. It goes with the makeup. It stays in place, stays put. It's not gonna smear. Even if I cry a little, it's not gonna fall off my face. It'll stay there. So the trick is, again, I use setting spray, and my favorite to use to mix into eyeshadows is always, always, always gonna be MAC Fix Plus. So I might be a bit biased because I used to work there as a young makeup artist. Go away. Okay, so Fix Plus, they come in a new bottle now, but it's the same thing. Don't get the matte one, don't get their nude. They have a new formula that has like 24-hour stay. So this was designed as a mixing medium, and it does truly, in my opinion, out of all the setting sprays, work the best for stuff like this. So I'm gonna spray it directly on the black. And then I'm gonna take a little tiny brow brush. So I actually really like really thin brow angled brushes for eyeliner because they're already aligned. Who's ever tried to do cat eyeliner before? Who has failed miserably before? Yeah, it happens. So sometimes people will tell you to use like a little tiny brush like this, right? Is that what people have tried to use before? Have you ever tried to use one of those? They're really hard to control if you don't know how to paint a straight line. So I highly, highly, highly recommend an angled brush. So I'm gonna have Stella close her eye. And this is my technique. There are many techniques to doing cat eyeliner. However, this is what I found is most forgiving as far as skill level and easiest to practice. And I also recommend that you practice before you go to bed because you're gonna wash your face anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and start right in the lash line. I'm actually gonna have you keep your eye open and just relax, yeah. So who has ever tried to put eyeliner on, you like pull your skin really tight right there? Let's stop doing that. Because what we learned earlier, what happens when we let go of the skin? It goes away and then your line's all bumpy. So if you want a nice straight line, angle your bristles down at the lash line. I'm just gonna let you look down. There we go. And you're going to just pull that right into your lash line first. And then you'll be able to paint your line kind of tight lined right there in the lashes. And then I'm going to go in and grab a bit of the corner. And then I'll draw my shape on the outside and connect it back in. So you can close now. So I will draw the shape out of however big I want the cat eye to be. I'm gonna have you turn your head right here. So I'll draw that line outward. Now where this line goes is gonna be a little bit different on everybody's eye. So when you look at your eye, you can go ahead and open for a second. You wanna look at where the continuation of your bottom eyelid going up would be. Not your top eyelid, because some people have downturned eyelids on the top. So we want, again, that nice lift in the corner. We've blended our eyeshadow that way. We want it to stay that way with our eyeliner. Oh, sorry, my hair is pulling my mic out. Okay, so we want it to stay that way. So we go out, and now go ahead and close. And then we're gonna draw the top of the triangle back in, and we have a little hole to fill in. And then we just fill in our hole. And go ahead and open. And if we want to make it more intense, we can. It's always the same framework. We're going to come out, we're going to draw the top of the line back in, and then color it in. And like I said, practice at that time, because the first few times you try to draw that line, it's not going to go so well, and that's okay. But when you work with an angled brush, it's already a straight line, but always work in the direction of the short end of the brush, not the tall end. If you try to go on the tall end, it gets like stuck underneath it. So we don't want that. I don't sell brushes. I have a wide range of brushes that I use. Honestly, Morphe puts out great brushes and they do huge sales. They just redid their whole brushes. If you want to get a little bit more spendy, MAC has always had the best. Let's see, who else do I like? It Cosmetics has great brushes, but honestly, Morphe is great, especially if you clean your brushes. If you take care of your brushes, they will take care of you. I would try to clean them once a week. Dawn dish soap, warm water. You can get like a little silicone mat to scrub your brushes. Let them air dry. Don't use a hair dryer. If you heat up that glue that's holding the bristles too much, it will come loose, your brushes will fray, you'll lose your brush. So if you want the longevity of your brush, you wash it in warm water, and I like to use Dawn dish soap to get all the grease and everything out of there. And then if you feel like your brushes, if they're natural hair, and you feel like they're getting too dry, you can actually use conditioner after the Dawn dish soap to condition the hair. So hopefully that's helpful. So we're gonna add the mascara on this eye now. And then we'll add her little brightness on the inner corner. So go ahead and add your mascara. And remember to come on the back side. Yes. And if you who's ever nicked their lid with mascara after they've done their eyeshadow, guess what? All is not lost. Let it dry. Let it dry, and then take a spoolie, so you can save an old mascara wand or just get a brow brush that has a wand on it and scrape it off after it's dry. The key is that it has to be dry. If you let it dry, it'll flake right off using a spoolie, just tick, tick, tick. And it won't mess up your makeup, because your nail, if you try to do it with your nail, you'll like gouge your eyeshadow right off. But if you just use the spoolie, it'll just scratch it right off. It won't affect the rest of your makeup. So don't worry, all is not lost. That's another little makeup artist hack. So again, look at the subtle differences here in just doing a little bit more depth of color and then adding kind of that metallic look. So let's add on her little, that same open. Do you guys see how open? Here, open your eyes. Do you see how open that eye is in the center? On the side that we already did this on? Go ahead and close. So I like to blend this onto the lid a bit. And then again, right under her eyebrow, this will add a little bit of lift up here. Go ahead and open. And now her eye is open. Did you guys just see that magic trick? I don't know if it was showing on the camera. But now they look even in the center. Do you see that? It's crazy how much that can open an eye, but it really does. So same eye palette, and we're gonna do the same cheek palette. Yeah? What color what? On the inner corner, that one's called Opulent. Okay, so that's gonna, again, just kind of be a preference. So on Stella, I kind of came in, I would say probably about 2/3. I leave, and I do the same thing on me, and that's because I like how open this area is. It helps with that lift of the eye. So I would say 2/3 of your eye. Does that help? Oh, on the bottom, I typically, so I don't have any liner on the bottom. I've put a little bit of eyeshadow here just to add, I call it under smoke. On someone Stella's age, I don't think she needs that. I actually really like how open her eye is on the bottom, and I don't want to cut her off and give her bedroom eyes or any kind of sexy eye right there. But what you can do is, if you want that look, I don't love a black liner on the bottom unless you really want that closed off bedroom eye. And there's a time and a place, not gonna lie, right? Like, sometimes you want that eye look. But what I would do, if you want a little bit underneath, like what I did today, let me show you the brush that I used today on my eye. Where are you? It's always the last one that you grab. Is like a mini shading brush. So if you remember the shading brush from earlier, this is a Morphe. The brush name is the M213, and it's a miniature shading brush. So what's great is this can come right in that lash line. So I'll keep the color right here in the lash line, and then it leaves my eye open by not putting eyeliner in that water line, right? But it still gives the appearance of liner right there. Does that help? Okay. Yes. Yes, so I have mascara on the bottom, and I'll do it on the bottom on her in a second on this eye. For everyday makeup, I would leave it off. If you want that effortless kind of like no makeup look, you don't want your bottom lashes to stand out, because the second you do that, it is more intense. But I do have mascara on the bottom here just to add a little bit of intensity. And so we'll do that on her in a second after we get her cheek on. Okay, so same technique, but we're gonna go in with a little bit more this time. So if you get an eye look on, has anyone ever done this? You do your eyes and then you're like, this is way too much. And then you start to take it off and then you're a little bit disappointed that you took it off. And the reason is because if you don't have your cheek done, or if you don't have a lip that is kind of flowing with the look, an eye look can look really intense. I don't think that yours looks intense, but just if you're ever feeling like, oh my gosh, I think I went too dark, just wait till you get your cheek on. So we're gonna go in with that bronzer again, concentrating towards the back and blending forward. And then we'll blend it up. Like I said, she doesn't need a ton in a few of these spots, but just a little. And again, the top curve of the 3, we've got our middle curve, and then we need to blend back here into our bottom curve and onto the ear a little, just to give that same, we don't want just one patch of bronzer, right? We want it to be blended in here. Especially because you are so fair, Stella. Don't want to get crazy. Okay, so over here, less intense, over here, more intense. If you want to get more intense, this is where contour would come in. So as we talked earlier, like the bronze kind of brings that glow to the face. Contour is shadows. So we don't want to use that warm bronzy shade for contour. What we want to use is a cool shade. There are a few ways that you can do this. You can do this with a lip liner. You could do this with contour, but a lot of the newer contours that have come out are too warm. They're not a true contour. Like if you look at a shadow on the ground, they're gray, right? Shadows are gray. So you want to pick a cool tone brown, but luckily for you, in this same eye palette, we have a cool tone brown. So I'm just gonna wipe it on my hand first so I don't go in with too much. And we're just gonna go in a little bit at a time. And again, starting at the back, right in that hollow spot that we talked about earlier. And now she actually has a contoured cheekbone, and it is popping a bit more, right? And that's just that subtle difference of using shadows. So then you could go around the nose, you can hide different things on your face with contour. Stella is God's favorite, so she really doesn't need a whole lot. So we're gonna go in with blush. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more, and I'm not gonna blend the highlighter into it, but I'm gonna go on the back of my hand first. You can also tap off. And we're gonna put this right on top of that bronzer to blend it into her natural blush. So again, she still doesn't have base on. You don't have to wear foundation if you don't want to. It's not required. But because we did base her face with a bit of primer and skincare, it is holding the color well. But look at how gorgeous that blush is. Again, it's a little bit more intense. And you can build it up until you have it perfect. I like to concentrate a lot of it right here close to eyeshadow when I have a darker look on. This again helps pull so that you're not having darkness or a lot of color just in one spot on the face, but in multiple spots on the face without being too over the top. We've kind of concentrated it there. Does that make sense? Because if you have something that's so out of place, it can look so out of place. So now we'll add a bit of highlighter on top, and for this I'm gonna mix both of these highlighters, and I'm going to use a fan brush. So the fan brush is great because it does diffuse the product in that little line. And now where we apply it is when we're on the cheek, it's the very like tippy top of where the cheek is, or if you think of like your orbital bone right here on the eye, right where the cheek meets that orbital bone. And what highlighter actually does, so as you see, as she moves, do you see the shine right there? Is it's adding hydration to the skin. What happens as we get older? Do we get more or less hydrated? Much less. So you can still use highlighter as we age, and it's actually great when you use it appropriately so that when she's straight on, go ahead and look straight, you actually can't see it, right? It's not until she shifts and moves that you see this glow and hydration there. Now, obviously, if you love highlighter and you want people to see you from the moon, you can totally do that. I'm not stopping you. I love a good highlighter moment. But if you want it to look subtle and like it's done by a professional, you want to make sure that when you're straight on, it's kind of disappearing into the skin, and then as you move, that's when it pops. Now, if I'm doing a more intense look, I will add highlighter across the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose as well. And this again just gives a brightness and glow right in the center of the face. And see how it does shift a little when you move. Very pretty though. It's still kind of disappearing. You're not sure there's a product there. Her skin just looks really glowy. So that is how I would do the cheek over there. Let's add a little bit of mascara on the bottom. When we do bottom mascara, you want to just skim really lightly, unless you're going for like a twiggy look from the 70s. You don't want to do too much, but go ahead and look at the camera now. Do you see how that instantly added more intensity to that eye look when you add that mascara on the bottom? Now, she doesn't need brow filler, but if she did, I would mix a little bit for her tone. I would mix a little bit of cappuccino and latte because her hair has that warmth to it. So when I designed these colors, I designed you to be able to pick colors that match natural hair tones, be it black, brown, red, blonde, a mix somewhere in the middle. I personally, because I dye my hair so dark, use these two. Blonde, my daughter is blonde, she only uses latte for dance shows because she's just like towhead blonde. So any darker and she looks a little much. But we're gonna pick a lip, and I wanna show you one of my favorite ways to do a lip. So I'm going to start with a little bit of our lip plumping gloss, and these are on sale at the booth for 10 bucks as well. And usually I do this at the beginning, so go ahead and mush your lips together and let it set in. What this does is it's not an intense lip plumper that feels like it's burning you at all. It's actually peppermint extract and ginger flower root, and so what that does is it helps fill in the lines, and again, there's shea butter and vitamin E, so it has a lot of moisture in it. The key to your lips looking good all day is moisture. Has anyone ever been so thirsty that you have to consistently lick your lips because they're just drying out? The same will happen with any lip product on top of your lips if your lips aren't hydrated. So lip prep is very important. So I usually do that, do my makeup, and then wipe off the extra. So I'll go ahead and I'll just have you use your extra because we left the tissues at the booth. But you get the hydration in there, and then you're gonna wipe off anything that's heavy sitting on the lips before you apply makeup. And there's a couple of options here as far as liner. You could do an everyday pink, would look really great with both of these looks, or you could go a step darker, and that's the one that I would really like to show you guys. This one's called Deep Berry. I go back and forth when I do darker liner between this one and Warm Mocha. So Warm Mocha I have on today is a really dark brown. You actually can't tell most times because it goes with everything. It just gives a really nice darkened edge to the lip. But I want to keep Stella in a more pink family. I feel like that's going to just complement her skin tone really well. So when I line the lips, I'm going to start here in the center. And I'll have you lean forward. And I like to go back and forth in little short lines. This gives you more control. If you try to draw a line, the likelihood of you going out of the lines on that is very high. So we want to use little lines back and forth, but also I want to show you this line that I'm lining on. So where your lip skin stops and your face skin begins is called your vermilion line. On some people it's very defined and very dark, and then on other people, like Stella or myself, it's gone completely colorless right here. So we are going to line right on top of that. This is going to give you added volume and overlined look without actually being overlined, because again, who's seen drag queens lips in person? It's crazy. They look real from the stage, right? Like super overlined, but then up close you can see like the actual lips. And so if you overline, that's how they look in person. But right here, do you see how much more volume we had? And I didn't come out on her skin. I've just gone onto this spot right here where your lip and your face skin meet, okay? So it doesn't have to be crazy. And we're gonna do the same on the top. Again, just using little strokes. And then we'll come to the other side. And I always start in the center and go out to the edge. Again, that's a control thing. I found that starting in the corner and going to the center tends to cut you off a little bit and make it harder. I can't draw with my left hand. What was I thinking? And makes it harder for you to keep an even line. So short strokes and starting in the center is gonna give you a lot more control. So now I'm gonna have you press your lips together and mush a little bit. This is a natural way to blend your liner. You don't have to use your finger to blend it out or a brush. Just doing a few mushies blends it into the lip skin itself, and it's gonna give you a nice gradient to work with. Okay. So this lip color is called Watermelon Sugar. This one is a little bit of a brighter pink, but it's very, very cute and goes great with everyday makeup or bold makeup. And again, I like to start in the center and then using the pointed tip of the applicator, go out to the edges. Go ahead and mush your lips together. The other key with lips is when we apply it, if we apply too much, we can tend to have, it looks like too much product. Like it feels like too much product, it wears off, but the product's not doing anything. So I like to mush to the top so that you're not using any more product and you're just blending it into the skin so it becomes a second skin. Now you could stop there or you could put on a little bit of gloss. So with gloss, you could go with a regular gloss, or again, you could add a little bit of plumping gloss to the top. This by itself will last all day and is transfer proof. Once you apply gloss, it's no longer transfer proof, but I'm a glossy kind of girl. I like a little bit of that feeling. And let's do a half and half here so you can see how cute it looks, and still in the natural family, just a little bit of a pink color on her lips on that side. And then on this side, how it does become more intense with the more intense makeup. So again, you don't have to do crazy different amounts of makeup or crazy different products. You can get amazing looks just with the same product. So I'm gonna open it up for questions for the last few minutes here. And yes. With hooded lids, great question. So hooded lids, you do have to change a couple of the techniques. So when you close your eye, your eyelid, or when you open your eye, your eyelid hides behind your hood, right? So you need to make sure that you're keeping your eye open when you're doing it. And when your eye is closed, you're not gonna have this straight line. It's gonna look more like a bat wing. But if you do it with your eye open, and then you can connect it under, it'll help you a lot, rather than doing it closed, because then once you open it looks very disjointed, right? So if you do it with your eye open and you look straight ahead in the mirror, you can see that line better. I've done a video on the bat wing, but maybe I should have, follow me on Instagram and I'll do a video with someone. I'll find a friend with hooded eyes and I'll show you exactly what I mean. But if you keep your eye open and you go ahead and keep your eye open and you draw the line, it'll make like a little bat wing kind of shape, like literally like the Batman. Like this weird, it looks strange when your eye is closed, but then when you open it, it looks like a perfect triangle. Does that help a little bit? A little bit. I need to make a video on it. It's kind of tricky to show unless somebody has a hooded eye, if that makes sense. Yes. Oh, no questions? Okay. Okay, yeah. Mascara. So I know with some false, like permanent false lashes, that some of them don't let you put oil because it'll break down the glue. So I would ask your oh no, I thought you said that they were fake. You're not gonna, you have nice thick eyelashes is what you're saying. Okay. So yeah, I would grab a comb if you're feeling like every mascara you try is clumping on you. Another thing that you can do is when you pull your mascara out, wipe off some of the product and go in with less product. Great question. Anyone else? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I found personally for me that this does help with a little bit of that creasing. A lot of it is hydration. So I would even take for you and take a bit of your eye cream before you apply your makeup when you're doing your skincare to put right there. And that will actually help fill in those lines as well. Yeah, yes.
I struggle with mascara, like
Uh-huh.
seeing onto my lower eye. No matter
Yeah.
what mascaras I use, they might have a
Okay.
dark shadow. But what do I do?
So, okay, so you're finding that the product is kind of falling in here.
Yeah.
So, hot trick, I never recommend this product except for this exact moment. Tarte has a concealer called Shape Tape. One of the top ingredients in that is alcohol. It's very drying. I don't love it as a concealer. What I do love it for is if that's happening to you, if you take that like a tiny brush like what I showed you, I do my eyeshadow here, and you apply it just under your lash line, allow it to dry, and you don't blend a creamy concealer up under there, that'll be a game changer for you. Because what's happening is there's too much hydration right there under your eyelashes.
Okay, so Tarte.
Tarte Shape Tape.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the booth is 35% off and there is a sale rotating every hour, different products. Come on over. I can help pick a lip color for you, cheek color match you on whatever you need. There is a code on the class syllabus. If you didn't get it, let me know. And it looks like this is working.